The program you are about to hear is a production of the River's Edge Radio Network. The River's Edge can be heard 24 hours a day with the best in local Pittsburgh music at riversedgepgh.com. The River's Edge, your voice for local music. Enjoy the show. Medical marijuana has finally passed the Pennsylvania State House of Representatives. I, for one, am shocked. I never imagined I would see the day in my lifetime that medical marijuana would ever pass in Pennsylvania. It's really stunning. I mean, we're talking about the organization in the Commonwealth that is so unbelievably conservative. It's the comments that have been made on medical marijuana about it being a gateway drug or this or that, or, we don't care about children. I'm paraphrasing, of course. There has been so much energy to block medical marijuana, and it really passed at a pretty wide margin. I'm really kind of stunned, actually, as to, let me pull it up here. It's over 100 votes. Medical marijuana passes in Pennsylvania under the House of Representatives, 149 to 43. The House of Representatives is controlled by the Republicans in Pennsylvania. So this really was this really crossed the border, definitely crossed parties. It was a collaborative effort. The governor is behind the passage of medical marijuana, and I just don't understand any drawbacks. I don't understand any drawbacks to the medical marijuana process. It's not recreational use. It's to help kids. It's to help veterans. It's to help people who are suffering through cancer. There are so many great benefits that medical marijuana can provide, and I know it hasn't been tested by the FDA, which is one of the big arguments against it, but it has been shown to work on so many cases. It's definitely a great thing. I am just blown away. I still cannot believe it passed the House. We're talking about an organization that is just so behind the times, and a Commonwealth that is just so unwilling to enter the new era. A Commonwealth that won't even, not even make the state-owned liquor stores more accessible. They won't privatize it, but they won't even make it more accessible. It's a constant battle to progress with the times in the Commonwealth, and I just am floored by this news. Now, only if the Democrats and the Republicans and the governor can all come together and pass a damn budget, then maybe, just then, we would be really heading somewhere. Instead, we have schools on the verge of closing here in Pennsylvania. Welcome to River Talk. I am Pittsburgh's moral compass, Brian Crawford, behind the microphone here in the glorious Millville Studios, a phenomenal art studio here on North Avenue in Millville. You got to come check it out. It's so fantastic. Sometimes you come in here and you can actually see the artists at work. Wonderful experience. And man, do we have a wonderful show in store for you today. Today we have Matt Light, a great, phenomenal comedian. He was rated best comedian in Pittsburgh 2 years in a row. He's going to be on the show to talk to us about two wonderful events that we have coming up. One of them on the 8th, April 8th, which is Comedians Against Cancer, and that's going to be at Dave and Buster's. That's going to be at 8 p.m. And we have his curtain call show because Matt is actually leaving the Pittsburgh area. He's on his way to Los Angeles, so we were able to grab him before he heads out there, and the curtain show will be at the Improv on the 28th. That will be at 8 p.m. as well. As you know, here at the River's Edge, we are sponsoring Heavy Metal Monessen, a phenomenal music festival, which will be on the 26th, I believe 26th, and that is going to be just outstanding. 2 stages. There's going to be a River's Edge stage, and that's going to be at the Pavilion, and there's going to be a stage at the amphitheater with multiple metal bands, all local. And as always, the River's Edge is very thrilled to bring you all of these local musicians here in studio. And today we have Klaymore. We have Lee Prisby of Klaymore, who's going to be joining us today in studio. Great band. You can hear them on the radio network at riversedgepgh.com, powered by NGL WebTech, and you can hear us on the TuneIn Radio app. And the great thing about the TuneIn Radio app is you can actually buy music from musicians such as Klaymore right on the app. Just click the Google Play button, which is at the bottom of the screen, where you can see the River's Edge logo or the album artwork or whatever is up there. You can see that right there. And we have a new segment, by the way, coming to the show that'll top off start the second hour, the 7 a.m. hour. When you work overnight, your AM, PM is all kinds of screwed up. But starting the 7 a.m. hour, we have a new kids segment. It's going to be the Kids Fantasy Fun segment, and that's going to start us at 7 in the morning. And we're going to wrap off the show on a serious note. We're going to tell you about a feature on Facebook that allows you to determine which of your friends are dumb. So we have all of that and more here on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network. Great stuff. And there's one mayor, speaking of drugs and the drug issue we have in the United States, and in particular in Western Pennsylvania. You know, there's a heroin epidemic. We're all worried about legalizing medical marijuana or throwing someone in jail over a little bit of weed, but there are serious issues out there such as heroin. And there's actually a mayor in Albany, New York, who is looking to create a space where addicts can inject themselves with heroin and not be arrested for it. And I know that sounds crazy. You're thinking, why in the hell would you aid a heroin addict in the act? And at first thought, when you hear this article that this mayor wants to create these safe spaces, you're thinking, is he out of his frickin' mind? Why? We're trying to get people off of heroin. We're trying to create a path to recovery. Why would we create a safe space? We should be, and I've actually heard this argument, we should be throwing them in jail. It's a crime. Throw them in jail. Well, how are you getting the help that you need when you're in jail? And really, who have you victimized by taking heroin? Yeah, you've victimized your family. True, you've victimized yourself, really. But how have you victimized anyone in a way that you couldn't victimize them by, cheating on someone? If you cheated on your spouse, you're victimizing your family, you're victimizing your kids. You don't go to jail for cheating on your spouse. And clearly heroin is something that needs to be tackled. But if you could create a safe space where somebody isn't going to overdose, they aren't going to die, they're able to stay alive for their family, and you could use that as the avenue to lead these people to recovery, isn't that a better option than throwing them in jail, or, as I've often heard on Facebook, let them die? Yes, I have heard people say, let them die because they took heroin. And these people are insane. But this has gone on in Europe. There are countries in Europe who have taken the step to create these safe spaces, and they've decriminalized drug abuse, drug addiction, and they have created opportunities for people to now better themselves. So now they are bettering themselves. They have the opportunity to get the help they need. They have an avenue to direct them to those services. And that's something that I think is important, that we need to stop treating drug abusers as criminals. Now, if they steal to get the heroin, yeah, that's a crime. That's a crime that needs to be dealt with. And then you put them in jail for stealing. You put them in jail for breaking and entering. You put them in jail for a variety of issues that are actual criminal acts, but taking a drug is what's worse, taking heroin or taking some prescription drug that's an addiction. I just think that we need to be more compassionate. We need to care more about other people. And I think what the mayor of Albany is intending, this mayor he's from Ithaca. I think what he's intending is to provide people with help. Now, this mayor, he actually has a history himself. His father was an addict, and he missed time with his father. So he's looking at this as somebody who has a personal history dealing with a family member struggling with addiction. And I like what a lot of countries in Europe are doing, where they are taking people out of the jails and they are putting them into rehab centers. And I would like to see that, more of that as well, where we're going to put people into rehab centers. And it's worked. It's worked in Europe. What we have going on here in the United States, the drug on war, it has failed. It has failed miserably. Everyone wants to talk about illegal immigration and the drugs that are brought in with that. It's been brought in because it's failed. The war on drugs is a complete failure. It has not worked. All it has done is it has risen our taxes, really, because now we are having to pay to prosecute these people. We have to pay to put them in jail. There's so many expenses that go into prosecuting drug offenders. So it affects me. It affects you in your pocket. It affects you in your wallet, right? Nobody wants to pay more in taxes. Nobody wants to pay more. Nobody wants to put forth the money for that but you want to prosecute the drug offenders. And that's one thing that kills me. Everyone wants to talk about it's the same people that want to talk about finances and not wanting to pay more in taxes or put the money out. You don't want to pay for these rehab centers. That's the one argument you hear is, I don't want to pay for the rehab center. Why should my money go to get someone else clean? They're the ones who made that decision in life. You hear those arguments, but they're willing to spend all of this money to incarcerate somebody or to prosecute someone. It makes no sense. Think, you're spending more money prosecuting someone, incarcerating someone, than getting them help that they need or providing them a space where they won't die. It's going to cost less money to put together this safe space than it's going to cost somebody to go to jail. And the facts are out there. You can look them up. When someone is addicted to heroin and they get out of jail, they typically, unless they get the help they need, they go back to using. It's that addicting. It's one of the most addicting drugs that are out there. It needs to be handled. And it needs to be handled in a compassionate way, not some sort of throw them away or let them die or I don't want to spend money on this, yada, yada, yada. You hear a lot about, oh, well, this will never happen in my house. This wouldn't happen in a good family. Well, I could tell you that I know somebody who grew up in one of those good families, one of those great homes, and one kid is doing very well off. He's got a big house in Aliquippa, lives on the big side of town, really doing well for himself, great government-related job. The other kid is in and out of jail for heroin. It can happen to anyone. It can happen in your home. It can happen anywhere. We need to understand that this can happen to us. This can affect us. And even if it couldn't affect us, just have compassion for your fellow human beings. And let's work together to help people get off of this drug. Let's save money, save those tax dollars, and help other people in the same process. Can we do that? That's all I'm asking. I just want to help other people. Just use our resources. We're the wealthiest nation in the world. And we are unwilling to put a few pennies, and really that's what it would cost, is pennies in the grand scheme of things, to help our fellow man. Something that could happen to us, something that could affect your family, your loved ones. You just don't know. You just don't know. Mike McMullen up next, our political commentator. Some interesting things to discuss with him. We're going to talk a little bit about Supreme Court Justice Egan and his resignation, some unfortunate comments the governor has made in Pittsburgh, Mitt Romney back in the news again, and more. We're going to talk with Mike about that. And then a little bit later, we have Mr. Matt Light, best comic in Pittsburgh, rated 2 years in a row. We have him up in just a little bit here on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, this is Zach Fell, the station manager of WCAL, and I'm here to tell you about an upcoming event being sponsored by WCAL, the River's Edge Radio Network, and Placid Promotions. WCAL is proud to be sponsoring Heavy Metal Monessen 3, a free-to-the-public music and arts festival being held at Monessen City Park Amphitheater on Saturday, April 23rd. This year's lineup features some of the best heavy music Pittsburgh has to offer, including revival recordings artist Cabaret Runaway, as well as Solarburn, Klaymore, Only Flesh, Tartarus, Old Lords, Shadow of Corvus, and more. The festival is set to kick off at 1 p.m. on Saturday, April 23rd. Be sure to follow 919 WCAL and the River's Edge Pittsburgh on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up to date with the latest festival information and artist interviews. Stay metal.
Welcome back. You just heard Klaymore on the River's Edge Radio Network, and we are happy to have Mr. Mike McMullen over the phone with us right now. Mike, how is it going?
We live in interesting times here in the great Commonwealth and in southwestern Pennsylvania, and for the first time since 1980, the Pennsylvania Republican primary on the Republican side, we're actually, the voters, we the people, are actually going to have a say in the primary process, and actually we can vote for, there's, actually I got my sample ballot about 2 weeks ago, there's actually 6 Republicans on the ballot because the withdrawal date, was too late for them to withdraw, so some people will be unfortunately voting for people who are withdrawn from the race, but it is what it is, and it's very fluid here in Pennsylvania now.
Yeah, it's crazy, and so many people who are transferring party registration. That'll be interesting. How much do you think this presidential election will affect the statewide races if people are switching parties?
Well, I mean, in the primary, if you look at the only contested race statewide on the Republican side is between John Rafferty, who was the architect of the that great gas tax that we have,
mm-hmm.
and the corporate gas tax.
Hold on. That's a fee.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. A fee is a tax. But he was the head of the Transportation Committee and one of the architects of the bill. Good individual, but at the end of the day, I highly recommend for listeners look at the background of Joe Peters, a former federal prosecutor from northeastern Pennsylvania, and if I wouldn't sway your audience to go and vote, but I would vote for not the guy who voted for the gas tax.
Yeah, the gas tax. However, they have started repairing some of the bridges, so maybe there's some work being done. But yeah, I just call it a tax. I know Republicans don't like to tax people, but that irks me more than the tax itself.
Yep.
Just it's a fee. It's a fee.
I just filled up for gas today. Gas is going up. I mean, believe me, I'm not complaining. It's gas like, I filled up for like $2.11 today, but you go to Ohio, it's like $1.70. So, how's that working out for everybody?
Yeah, Mike, I wanted to talk to you about the governor's comments. The governor was recently in Pittsburgh, and I have 2 quotes from him. One quote from the governor says, "Even if a lot of schools make it through this year, if we don't really address the mathematical deficit, especially starting in 2016-2017, schools are going to be closed permanently." And then he also said, "I'm standing on principle here. I'm standing on what's right in the long run."
Good point. I think he's probably smoking too much. I think he's probably got some liberal doctor somewhere in the Commonwealth to write him a prescription to be smoking some medicinal marijuana, which is sidebar, which is finally they enacted, and it's finally going to help a lot of families and individuals who, it's medically proven, even though the FDA not regulated it. But look, at the end of the day, medicinal marijuana for medical purposes only in the Commonwealth, finally is there. It's law. And I think the governor's
Thank
going to
God.
sometime this week. But that's a sidebar. But look, the governor can stand on principle all he wants, and a little caught up to speed. I think there's about 13 to 16 lawmakers ready to override the governor's veto of the recent Republican budget. So, and if that happens, they're going to override it, boom, and it's going to become law, and the districts will get their funding and so forth. But look, and if those Democrats don't come across the aisle, and work for the benefit of the good, and you know what, you are going to have schools being closed and shut down. And you know what, I'm not saying that would be a bad thing, because let's face it, I mean, we've got too many damn school districts here in the Commonwealth anyway. It's sort of like fire departments and police departments. Everybody wants their own little fiefdom, and turf. And school districts, a tax-based Democrat, Republican cannot keep graduating 50, 75, 150 kids a year, every year. And at the end of the day, the local school boards, Democrat, Republican, keep raising taxes. Oh, we're only going to raise it a $500,000 this year. We got to pay for this, pay for that. Well, when does it end? And you know what? Why not we go to countywide school districts? Oh, that works pretty well, like in Ohio, West Virginia, New York State, Maryland. You know what? Let's get up with the times. We've got too many damn school districts here in the Commonwealth. And you know what? And maybe finally it'll force school districts to really look at their bottom line and force to consolidate and merge, which I think is a good thing.
Mike,
Go ahead.
I don't disagree with you. However, this isn't really the way to shrink the number of school districts in the Commonwealth by being too incompetent to pass a budget.
Well, no. I mean, Brian, I know I went off on a little tangent there, but he wants to stand on principle. But look, I mean, when you've got, I think what I read in the last 24 to 48 hours news cycle, 13 to 16 Democrats are probably going to break with their party and come across and override the governor's veto. And finally, and if that happens, ultimately, the funding's going to be there. The school districts won't be merged or shut down, because a lot of, major school districts, Plum, Penn Hills, many in southwestern Pennsylvania, are taking out loans just to pay the bills.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, and ultimately, well, who's going to be on the hook to pay those loans back? Who us? We the people, we the taxpayers.
Yeah.
In the various school districts, no matter where you live, not only in Western Pennsylvania, but in the 67 counties of the Commonwealth. I mean, the bottom line is the governor was off base, and I can tell you, I mean, you want to talk about one-term Tom, here's going to be another one-term Tom. It's going to be Tom Wolf, not Tom Corbett, because I mean, the governor cannot get anything done. He's living in some world that we don't know. I don't know what planet he's living on. But at the end of the day, he's just. I mean, he like anything in politics. It's the art of the deal. It's compromise. You can't get everything you want, but damn it, you gotta work with both houses and all that. And but on the flip side, Corbett was a Republican, and we had a House and Senate, and we still couldn't get anything done.
Couldn't get anything done.
I mean, yes, we got some stuff done and accomplished,
Not really, though.
No,
I mean,
not really, but what's that? I'm sorry.
Said no. I know. I just was laughing. I mean, he had the court system behind him as well. I mean, it wasn't like it was going to be overturned in the court under Corbett. He could get nothing accomplished. I mean, he got a gas tax. That was about it.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. It should be a very fluid week. On the statewide level. To see what happens, and we go from there. But moving on nationally, I mean, Trump. Trump keeps Trump along. Took 4 out of 5 this past Tuesday on the 15th, and Kasich won Ohio. Kasich, why he's in the race to this day, he is mathematically, statistically eliminated. I'm no mathematician, but if you just do the simple basic math, he has no way to reach 1237. Why he's staying in? Could it be a contested brokered convention? It might be, but if Trump wins some major primary and caucuses, Trump is probably maybe the eventual nominee. I mean, it's going to go on into June, and we'll see what happens. But I will tell you that if if the power brokers, party elite, establishment, whatever you want to call it, try to steal the nomination, whether it they try to rob it from Cruz, or Trump, both parties, both sides are going to bolt the Republican Party, and the Republican Party will be dead in the water as we know it. You know what? I think it's very healthy. I'm glad that actually Pennsylvania has a say in the primary process. Like I said earlier in my previous comments, we've not had a say since 1980, and finally the voters, are going to put forward 3 candidates, who are still technically on the ballot, but there's 6 on the ballot because the withdrawal date was March 2nd. But you're going to have, I believe, Bush, Rubio, and there's one more who's still on the ballot. But, Trump is going to win a lot of the northeastern states. This Tuesday coming up, you've got America Samoa, you've got Arizona and Utah. Trump should win America Samoa and Arizona. It's winner take all. And, look, Romney's pulling out all the stops to get the Mormon vote. And
how pathetic does he look?
Oh, you know what? It is pathetic. It really is pathetic. And you know what? Okay, Mittens, it's time to go back to Utah, time to go back to, Massachusetts, go in the private sector. You're more active now than you did in the last 6 weeks of your damn presidential campaign.
Yeah.
If you were this active in 2012, the last 6 weeks of the election cycle, we wouldn't be having this conversation because you'd be running for your second term. But unfortunately, he's not. I don't know what it is. It's just, it is what it is. He looks like an ass, quite frankly. And Cruz is going to do okay. In Utah, is he going to win all of it? No, it's proportional. Trump is going to get some delegates out there, but the beat goes on. The party elites, the power brokers, they're still trying to rob Cruz or Trump of the nomination. But I think at the end of the day, if they try that, there's going to be mass chaos and revolt. We've got like 39 days of the Pennsylvania primary, and we'll see how it plays out.
Every time Mitt Romney opens his mouth, more people run to Trump's aid. Does he not get that he's actually doing Trump a favor in all of this? We're talking about Mr. Establishment.
Yep.
Trying
Absolutely.
to put down a candidate.
Well, Brian, I agree absolutely. And if you look at the Arizona rallies yesterday on what happened and everything, I think it was great. You had all those protesters, and give credit to Joe Arpaio, the sheriff and all that, and he turned around and he sent his deputies out there, and they were arrested all those protesters. And you know what? Believe me, they're going to do some time, 48 to 72 hours till they get their court date and everything until they get out. So, and you know what? And put them in tent cities, put them in pink uniforms, put them in pink jumpsuits, and let them go do some hard labor, and that'll really stop them from doing a.
Well, the thing is you have every right to protest. The First Amendment gives you the right to peacefully assemble. It doesn't give you the right to block traffic. It doesn't give you the right to interrupt someone else's event to the point where you're trying to get on stage and take over the event. That's not what the First Amendment is. If they want to stand outside of one of Trump's events or even be in the event and hold a sign, that's completely different than trying to tackle someone else's amendments.
Brian, I agree. And the thing is, he had a couple rallies in Arizona over the weekend, and yesterday, he's getting 15, 20, 25,000 people. It's unbelievable. It's unheard of. And at the end of the day, I think it's healthy for the party. Like I said, we talked last week. We had 46,000 Democrats switch parties. It was a great piece by Selena Zaito from the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. I posted on my Facebook page was basically you had various people switch longtime Democrats who vote Democrat said, hey, enough is enough, and I'm going to vote Republican in the primary for the first time in my life.
I want to talk a little bit about Michael Eakin. He just resigned from the Supreme Court due to these email scandals. I'm sick of the corruption in Pennsylvania, Mike. I'm sick of it, and it comes from both sides. It just, I look at Washington D.C. and I think here's a model here's a government model to look after, because really, when you think about it, D.C. is less corrupt than Harrisburg. It's crazy to say that, but I'd rather be more like D.C. in state government.
Well, Brian, it doesn't end. Just when we think we are turning the tide, turning the page, wiping the chalkboard or the slate clean, whatever analogy you want to use, there's always something else. It's one more. I mean, you would think, recently that with Seamus McCaffrey, then you had, Jane, here locally in Western Pennsylvania, you had recently State Senator Jane Orey, her sister, Supreme Court Judge Melvin. You had Seamus McCaffrey, making some, lewd comments and so forth, and scuttlebutt. Then you have Justice Michael Eakin, Aiken, however you want to pronounce it. Ultimately, the precedent has been set is that, look, there's nobody is above reproach. Especially coming from a Supreme Court judge.
It's disgusting.
It is. Making lewd comments via emails. And look, we all have done it, right, wrong, good, bad, or indifferent. We've all sent a lewd, crude, joke on, have said, a ethnic joke amongst peers or friends. We've all done it, and anybody who hasn't said they haven't done it is lying through their damn teeth. But when you put something in, i.e., you're above reproach, you are the gatekeeper to justice and so forth, to be in that limelight, whether it be a district judge or whatever. And look, people are humans. People make mistakes. There's been many legislators on both sides of the aisle who have been, who have done some foolish things. I know many state reps and state senators who've had a DUI or multiple DUIs and so forth. But when you make a lewd or crude comment sitting on a bench in any capacity, and you go before that jurist, before that district judge or comparable court judge or superior or Supreme Court judge, there's bias already. And it's like, oh, well, if he or she did that, it's wrong. And you know what? In the last 10 days, you had State Representative Michael Girdley, Whitehall and McKeesport area. He was charged. And the thing is, they just removed the Republican from the ballot. So here again, you have a Democratic state representative on the ballot in the eastern suburbs of Pittsburgh, McKeesport and Pitcairn and down that way, that he's going to be.
Hello, Mike.
And, like I said, you're innocent until you're proven guilty, and ultimately it's going to because.
All right, Mike, we're starting to lose you here.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit better, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. But at the end of the day, he's going to be on the ballot. The Republicans are going to have to do a write-in. But, Brian, it's time after time, month after month, whether it be in Western Pennsylvania, or there's somebody to be in charge or indicted for power and corruption of politics. And I think in the last probably 5 years, probably at the top, if not the top, between New York State, New Jersey, and Illinois for the most corruption in politics.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, Mike, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep, we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
All right, it is currently today a high of 44 degrees and a low of 30 degrees. Heather is off this week, as she was last week, and we're both off next week for Easter. We are going to do a quick interview with Talion. We're going to play that on Monday, the day after Easter. But I'm going to give you your full weekly weather forecast a little bit later in the show. But right now we have your weird news here on River Talk. Let's cue the music. Never pay full price for good pizza, or for late pizza. Michelangelo of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles said that in their original live-action movie. Well, one man took that to a whole nother level. It says, according to KDKA, a local man was so angry his delivery was late, he decided to make a delivery of his own. The disgruntled man stormed into a Hazelwood pizza shop and began throwing and breaking things. Neil Orr, 59, is facing charges of felony, aggravated assault, trespassing, and making terroristic threats after police say he got into a brawl with the chef of the Hazelwood Pizzeria because the pizza he ordered was not delivered on time. Police say Orr placed an order by phone on Wednesday to the Italian Village Pizza Shop on 2nd Avenue, but because it was about 15 minutes late, he called to complain when his pizza wasn't delivered after an hour. So then he shows up and he starts throwing things and apparently injured some people. So crazy day. Next, we're going to have more music. We're going to play a song from Paul Kostick, who I was fortunate enough to hear the other night at Katie Joy's CD release party out at Black Forge Coffee, put together by our friends at Lack Love Productions, our big good friend Drew Zimmerman. So he played as well with his name, August Winters is his music name. Really great stuff. Phenomenal show. Had a really great time. Lots of good shows this weekend. Who else was I able to see? I was able to see the Arcade. They were at the Bloomfield Bridge Tavern. And, Cats and Congress's CD release party. Lots of good stuff. Really a great weekend. Up next, comedian Matt Light, who is going to be performing 2 events coming up. Really good stuff with him. And then a little bit later, we have Klaymore in studio. All of that more on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Zaheen Hussein, Millville Sustainability Coordinator, inviting you to grow your garden at Millville May Days. Visit our town, catch the great deals at local businesses, win prizes, and collect all kinds of seed to grow your garden for free. Mark your calendar for May 6th and 7th here in Millville. Follow the Business Association of Millville on Facebook and Twitter at BAM15209 for more details.
My current guest has been rated the best comedian in Pittsburgh 2 years in a row, and he's on his way to LA. I'm assuming after a failed bid for the mayor of Pittsburgh. We have Mr. Matt Light.
Well, who says I can't run from LA?
Well, I was going to ask that. Yeah, did you have future political aspirations?
Yeah, of course. I mean, maybe I just have to do it in LA now, right? I mean, Schwarzenegger was governor of California. Why can't I be mayor?
Why not?
LA,
right? In California, anything's possible, right? They were kind of the pioneers of everything, really.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. No,
could happen.
It could happen. You got 2 events coming up. You have Comedians for Cancer, April 8th at Dave & Buster's, and the Curtain Call event, April 28th. That's your last event before you make the move to LA, and that's going to be at the Improv. That will be at 8 p.m. as well. So I have to ask, why the move to LA?
Why? Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things where if you want to pursue it as a career, and it depends on what you want to do, I feel like there's a glass ceiling in Pittsburgh, and I think I'm close to that ceiling to where I don't know if there's much more I can do here. I want to do some stuff on the road, but I also would like to get into maybe like a sketch comedy show, like a workaholics type environment, and I know that that's not going to happen here. You know, and I waited until I knew a few guys out there, a few headliners out there that'll be able to help me out. Because I wanted to go actually last year, but I didn't really have that many contacts. But after them coming into town and me working with them here, you know what I mean, I feel like I'll be more comfortable out there. And I mean, it's nothing against Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh, but I just, you know, it's time to grow. And I'm 26 now, and, you know, we'll do it for a few years. If it works out, I stay. If not, I can always come home.
That's true. And do you think, in your opinion, you've seen the business, you've been around for a few years, do you think Pittsburgh is growing as a comedy hub?
Oh, yeah.
In the area?
I mean, I don't think it's one of the top ones, but I definitely think, like, if you look, there's a lot of talent here. You know, you have a Pittsburgh Comedy Festival now. You also have the Burning Bridges Comedy Festival coming up now. That's a lot of good things going on. We have monthly showcases almost every day. There's a few open mics there every day as well. So, I mean, it's definitely growing. And that's great because I think you go out there and your spot's not secure to get onto things because there's always that new guy that's doing well. And you're like, who the hell's this guy? Where'd he come from? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think for the most part, everyone gets along with each other, which is nice. Yeah, Pittsburgh has a great comedy scene.
And what's your favorite experience here in Pittsburgh in the comedy realm? I mean, you've done so many different things from, obviously stand-up to radio and different things like that.
As far as what's my favorite thing to do?
What's maybe the most interesting moment? Or
The most interesting moment for me actually was DVE hosts the Hottest Mom competition.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And last year I got to be one of the judges.
Nice.
And they had to do like these momsicle courses where like they had to open a bottle of wine. They had to get goldfish out of a car seat. And then they had to tuck you in at night.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And so I had this. It was crazy because she just got done. She had a kid maybe like 4 weeks ago. And you'd have no clue. Like, her body was flat. Like,
it's amazing the women that come to this thing.
Whoa. And the funniest part is, so she has to tuck me in, and you get, like, points based off of everything. Well, I told her that I can't sleep without milk. And then she proceeded to motorboat me. Woo. And she got my vote, and she won $5,000 that night. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I went to one of those events, actually, and there was this lady who was on stage, and she was a grandmother. And
the GILF contest.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah. Okay. So, but she was actually running for Hottest Mom, though. It wasn't a special version. It was the actual Hottest Mom. She won. The grandma. She was smoking. They brought her daughter up, and it was just like, her daughter was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this lady, she had, I think she was hot, but I think her mind actually, because she knew what to say, and she knew like the buttons to press to turn people on, and it was just like crazy. But this woman, I mean, she was a young grandma, obviously, but yeah, it's an interesting event. Very cool.
It was a blast.
So, we talked a little bit in the beginning of the show, and being that you are a political figure, and you're possibly going to be running for office in the future, but you're leaving Pennsylvania behind.
Right.
And we're finally, we just talked about this, they finally are passing, it looks like they're going to pass a medical marijuana bill. Is that something you supported in your run for mayor?
Well, I mean, I think that's definitely something very important, not even as far as a political view, but a few people in Pittsburgh know that a few years ago I actually had cancer.
Yes.
I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and, my doctors aren't allowed to tell me to do anything illegal. But while I was going through chemo, I wasn't allowed to drink. But they told me, like, for the pain and everything like that marijuana would help. They're like, we can't tell you to do it because it's illegal, but we hear. So, I mean, I think that's great. The only thing that sucks now is that because it has passed, it's still going to take a few more years to go into effect. But we're definitely in the right direction. So I love that. I think it's great for the city. Yeah,
it started off in Pittsburgh. They actually decriminalized it, which I think was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's what is it, under a gram or under 2 grams or something? It's just a fine.
Like that.
So that's great. I mean, they're doing a good job. Not as good as me, but.
So talk a little bit about the Comedians for Cancer event that's going to be April 8th at Dave & Buster's.
Well, my buddy Jim Porco that runs Bar Jitsu, he contacted me. He was a fan of my comedy, and he wanted to do a benefit that would be helpful when that was close to me. And he said, well, why don't we do a tournament, or a beer pong tournament as well as stand-up, because he knows I'm into beer pong. He just tried to do anything he could to get me to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm totally on board. I try and do as many fundraisers as I can for cancer. Like, I've done different youth groups. I've done all kinds of things. So it's going to be an exciting event. We have some of the best comedians in the city coming out there. Mm-hmm. The roster's not finalized yet, because we want to make sure that we can get the best possible options and not settle for just mediocrity. It's going to be at Dave & Buster's, which is awesome, because there's a lot of cool events to do there as well. So, go check out comedy.
It's like the adults' Chuck E. Cheese.
It is the adults. Yes. You know what? Chuck E. Cheese has become the adults' Chuck E. Cheese.
Really?
You see all those fights?
No.
There was a fight at the one in Ross Township. Then there was another one like a week before that. If you Google search Chuck E. Cheese fights, You will have an interesting 4
Where
minutes
are
on
people
YouTube.
turning fun places into brawls? I mean, they had the fights at Kennywood, there's
Oh,
fights
yeah.
at Chuck E. Cheese. It seems like everywhere that's fun, that's supposed to be there for
For kids.
youthful kids, yes, is turning into a bloodbath.
And it's never the kids, because if you ever gone to Chuck E. Cheese, if you think about it, I bet you'll never see a game with a gun.
Yeah.
There's no games. It's like zero
It's
violence.
true, yeah.
You know what I mean? But I lost trust in Chuck E. Cheese when they got rid of the ball pit.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, because they
right.
said,
I
it's because
remember.
it's sanitary. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, it's Chuck E.
so
Cheese.
much fun. You drown in those balls. That's fun.
Oh,
Swimming
yeah,
around. Yeah.
Take some grease off the pizza first.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
talk
Oh,
about
you're so worried about sanitary. I'm pretty sure Chucky hasn't washed his suit since 1986.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, gosh. Chuck E. Cheese. I haven't even been into one since I was a kid. I have no reason to go to Chuck E. Cheese.
I go
but
there a few times
do
for
you?
prospecting. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But I know they have like a weird one at Westmoreland Mall where they have like a glass door attached to the mall, but you can't go in and out of it. It's just like a door for show.
So you can
Because-
see like the kids playing and stuff.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's,
but
it's
like
like
you
window
can't-
shopping for pedophiles.
Pretty much. It's awful.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's actually it's pretty creepy if you think about
Yeah,
it.
I'm pretty.
So-
Oh, that one looks like he can eat a little bit. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
bring him. Oh god.
So Bar Jitsu, were they the ones who kind of spearheaded the event? They started the
Yeah, they were
this
the
event?
ones that went totally with it, and then Talent Network got involved, Frank and all those guys, and they're really cool people. They're
Good
good
friends
people
of
to be
ours,
around.
yeah.
They're awesome. They're really supportive about the event. And it's bringing up awareness of testicular cancer, which I had a scare when I was going through mine, but I actually didn't have it. And I think it's gonna benefit somebody. I forget the group, but it's out in Colorado, which is amazing. So, anything to help families and bring awareness to the situation is great.
Yeah, talk a little bit about your battle with cancer,
Yeah.
if you can. That must have been difficult to just deal with it with
Well-
your career and everything else.
Well, here's how it happened. So I've been doing stand-up off and on. We'll say the first time I was ever on stage in 2008. But, I really didn't take it serious, right? So here's what happened. 2013 comes along, the beginning of the year. I'm not feeling well, right? So 4 months later, I noticed within 2 months, I lost 50 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was getting night sweats. I couldn't walk. I just was going through all this pain. And I didn't know what the hell to do. But the first thing I had to do is get health insurance
Yeah.
to make sure I could get checked out. My girlfriend at the time was, you need to go, or we're done. So I should have just did that, because it turns out we didn't have a good relationship anyway. But no, she's cool. So no, I ended up getting the insurance, and then I figured it was like something with my stomach, because that's where the pains were.
Yeah.
And then I was hosting an open mic that night after doing the scans, and they said, "Hey, are you alone?" And I was like, "No." They're like, "Okay, that's good. We think you have lymphoma." No, I didn't know what the hell that was. You know what I mean? I was like, "Oh, that's cool. So like, you'll just send me an antibiotic, or I gotta go to Giant Eagle to pick that up." And he's like, "No, that's like, it's a cancer. It's a blood cancer." And like, when you hear the word cancer, like, you immediately, especially like at the age, I think it was 23 at the
Yeah.
time, and I just was like, dude, why now? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
not that anybody should ever get cancer.
Sure, yeah.
But at such a young age, and it's like, I didn't have bad lifestyle choices. Like, I'm not a smoker. Nobody in my family's really ever passed away from cancer. So it just was so crazy for me. But then I went through, 6 months of aggressive treatment, UPMC, and Dr. Marks was my oncologist, and he's like the greatest guy in the world. And I still am pretty close with him. And 6 months later, cleaned it out, and I've been cancer-free since February of last month.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's right, we got the cowbell.
That's at Cowbell.
No, that's fantastic. No,
Thank you.
and you're right. It's shocking. I started the Relay for Life down at California University of Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah, our first year, we only had 4 cancer survivors that were in attendance. Now, we threw it together in
Yeah.
a few months, and it turned out to be a great event. But
Yeah.
3 of those cancer survivors were under the age of 25.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's insane.
I did an event actually for Relay for Cancer. Is that what you call it? Relay for
Relay for
Cancer?
Life?
Relay for Life, yeah. Relay.
yeah.
Let's Relay for Cancer. Relay for Life. Shit, that would be the wrong place to go to. No, we did. They did a cancer benefit for Stand Up for Cancer. They hosted it at Latitude 360.
Okay.
So I was there, and we were actually on national TV because we did the Terrible Towel Twirl.
Yeah, that's
This
awesome.
is pretty sweet. Yeah, so those guys are awesome.
Yeah, no, yeah, they're great to work with. I've been with Well, I kind of stepped away now that my life is kind of consumed by this. But
Sure.
for a while, I started that event and ran it for a couple years. I did some stuff with the Norwind Relay for Life. That's where I got my start.
Okay.
And, yeah, no, it's definitely a great organization.
Yeah,
They
they're
do
awesome.
a lot of great things.
For sure.
So you've worked with a lot of fascinating people. I was reading the list of different comedians. Who's maybe the most interesting personality? I feel like Godfrey has got to be interesting.
I'll tell you this, and I don't know if I should say it, but like obviously that's not his real voice.
Yeah.
But there's like 3 different Gilbert Godfrey voices. There's the voice on stage, and then there's like when you're in the green room with him, he's that but more calm.
Yeah.
Right? Because he doesn't want it. He's not that he's breaking character, but then you get the Gilbert Godfrey who, when he's on the phone talking to somebody else, his voice is actually very deep.
Oh.
And like it kind of ruined it for me because
Yeah.
like this isn't
That's crazy.
the asshole principal from Problem Child. Like this guy seems well educated, But he was cool. He was very shy. I had fun with him. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's hard to believe, especially given how.
Oh yeah, he's very socially awkward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not in a bad way. Just he really is. He's an older guy. He likes to do his thing. And
Yeah.
I was actually surprised he was coming into Pittsburgh to do some time. And I was like, this is awesome. So luckily, I wound up working with him, and it was a great time.
Yeah, that reminds me of my friend Matt Henderson. He's a local theater. He's a playwright, and he also is an actor. And he acts in front of all these big audiences in Pittsburgh and everything else. He's been acting since I knew him. I went to high school with him. I wanted him to come on the radio. He was scared to death to phone in and do a phone interview over the radio. I had to literally twist his arm for weeks in order to get him to do a simple phone interview. And he's scared to death, but on stage.
Well, yeah, because it's almost part of your repetition. You know what I mean? It's almost like brushing your teeth or showering. Where when you do radio and you're kind of caught off guard, like I'll do radio and like I get so intimidated.
Really?
Because the issue is, and my buddy Jeff Conkle kind of put it in my head. He's like, if you look on 376 where we're recording, look out the window, you can see all the traffic. And you automatically assume they're all listening to every word you have to say. And you're like, damn it, like at least with a podcast, if I say something stupid, you can cut it out.
Sure, yeah.
Or if I do something on stage and it's not good, I don't have to do that again. But I have one chance, like, make an impression in front of these guys that are listening to me, and I get nervous doing that more than anything, too, though, believe it or not. Yeah.
No, yeah, and that's the nice thing about this studio in particular is there's no windows. We're on North Avenue in Millville, so you got a few cars driving by. And
there's 5 listeners. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
30. But
no, man, I've heard good things about this. So, like, when you asked me to do it, I was excited for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely it's moving in the right direction. And what's cool about it is I always like to promote this. We're the only 24-hour radio network that only plays local music.
Oh, really?
Which is pretty sweet.
Pittsburgh, at least. I will say, when I saw the name, the River's Edge,
I
thought you were affiliated with the casino.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and I was like, oh, man, I have a gambling problem. I don't know if I can do this.
Gambler, yeah.
Big gambler.
So, no, yeah. I want to just talk a little bit to wrap it up here with about your final curtain call show. Do you have anything special, like big planned for the event, or
I got all kinds of cool things.
Anything you can leak?
I can tell you that there's gonna be all of my friends that I've been doing stand up with, throughout Pittsburgh. That's made a big impact on my life. They'll all be a part of the show. We're also doing a terrible towel thing. So if you're coming out to the show, bring a terrible towel.
Nice.
It's gonna be very Pittsburgh. A lot of Pittsburgh stuff. And if you're a fan of professional wrestling, you'll like a few things that I'm doing.
Okay. Do you know Michael Sorg by chance?
What's his wrestling name?
He's not a wrestler. Are you familiar with Sorgatron Media?
No.
Okay, so he's one of our friends, and we're he's actually one of his shows, Awesome Cast, which is a technology show broadcasts on our network. But he does all of the video work for 2 local wrestling organizations.
Which ones? Do you know?
The Renegade Wrestling Alliance, RWA, and I believe the other one begins with an I.
Okay, IWC maybe?
Yeah, IWC.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so he does both of the video work for both of those. And he does a phenomenal job. And then he does a few wrestling podcasts.
Oh, cool, man.
Through Sorgatron Media.
Yeah, I got to play a manager for Vicious Outcast Wrestling, so the guys seeing me do stand up. He's like, you seem like you'd be a really good asshole with a microphone.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So, yeah, it was fun, man.
RWA, they do an event called Salute to the Troops.
Okay.
And it's down at California University of Pennsylvania. Well, it's like their biggest event of the year. And Salute to the Troops 2, the ringside announcer wasn't able to attend the event, so they needed somebody to replace him. And I did a lot of radio work with RWA when I was at CalU, just especially whenever they would come through for Salute to the Troops. So Dr. Feelbad, who runs that organization, he said, "Hey, Brian, why don't you be the ringside announcer?" I said, "Sure, that would be great." I thought, great opportunity, be able to try something new.
Yeah.
So I get the list of all of the wrestlers, what order they came out in, everything, and I make all of these little cue cards up so I can go on stage and have them ready. Well, the first thing that happens is I go on stage and the extra microphone falls out of my pocket, bounces off the stage, and it rolls onto the ground.
Oh, God.
So then I'm up there, and throughout the event, I'm calling up wrestlers out of order, the wrong wrestlers. The information they gave me was wrong. It was like a circus act on stage. It was hilarious though in hindsight.
I had an experience like that at the Syracuse Funny Bone. The guy came up to me and says, "What do you want me to bring you out to?" And I said, "I don't know, just tell him I do like clubs and colleges." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was like, "We got this next comedian coming on stage, very funny guy, one of my favorite comedians. He does clubs and colleges everywhere. He drops his cue card, right? He can't find it. He's checking his pockets or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm one of his favorites, but he doesn't know my damn name." So this dude just is on stage, and people are like cliffhanger, like waiting for him to say it. And he looks at me, and I'm like mouthing Matt Light, and he said like Mike Wright. And I just was like, "Oh, yeah, keep it going for the worst introduction ever. This guy's my favorite comedian, but I don't know who the hell he is." And but it was fun.
The one lady wrestler, Jessie Bell, she comes out. She's like telling me off on stage because I like got the wrong name. She's like pissed, and she's one of the heels. Yeah. So luckily she came out and she kind of saved that moment.
Yeah.
But Dr. Feelbad, he keeps like, you gotta have more energy. Gotta have more energy. I'm thinking like, I'm just trying to make sure I get the right person in order, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to read these at this point.
Yeah,
Let me go.
I'm so anxious to just like try and get to the right wrestler. Yeah. And it was an interesting experience. At the time, I was so humiliated that I ran out a back door because I went to school, so I knew where all the exits are. Yeah, and I kind of avoided everybody at the end of the event. Like, I stuck it through the whole event despite,
That's awesome.
the shit show. But, but I snuck out the back. And,
when I was heel, I had to have people walk me out because the fans wanted to beat the shit out of me in Connors. They hated me. I loved it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. All right, looking forward to it. So LA coming up, and then you have the two events. You've got the Comedians Against Cancer.
April 8th.
Yep, that's April 8th, and then the Curtain show.
April 28th.
April 28th. Yep. Both at 8 p.m. Come on out.
Yep, you can get your tickets. Show clicks, I think, for the first one, and the second one you go to improv.com.
All right, perfect. Sounds good. That's Matt Light. I'm Brian Crawford here on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hey, this is Lee Prisby from Klaymore, and broadcasting from Millvale Studios, you're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hey kids! It's kids time here on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network. And we're going to talk about Adolph's Magical Rainbow Ride. What's Adolph's Magical Rainbow Ride, kids? Well, I'm going to tell you here on River Talk on the kids segment. So Adolph rode on a magical rainbow from the land of unicorns. Land of unicorns, where everybody loves everybody. Adolph came to the world to make it a better place. Adolph wanted to give everybody free health care. Adolph wanted to give a better highway system. Adolph was a pal. Adolph was a good guy. Adolph did all the right things. Today, we have the opportunity to vote for a new Adolph. That's right, a new Adolph. Yay! Woo! Yay, a new Adolph, kids. A new Adolph is an older gentleman. He's late ages in life, and he wants to bring you free healthcare and free college, and he wants to bring you all sorts of goodies. Yay! Woo! All sorts of goodies with our good friend, our new Mr. Adolph, riding in on a sleigh on his wonderful, beautiful rainbow. Woo! Kids, Adolph! Yay! Our new Mr. Adolf is Mr. Bernie Sanders, just like Mr. Adolf Hitler, riding down on his rainbow to bring us goodies like free healthcare. Woo! Just like Adolf, right, kids? Right? All right. That's our new kids segment here on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network. Clearly, for the adults listening, you may disagree with that. You may disagree that Bernie Sanders is the modern-day Adolf Hitler, and it sounds kind of ridiculous, right? But, it's kind of also ridiculous to say that Trump is the new Adolf Hitler. Nobody is the new Adolf Hitler. We've talked a little bit about this before. George Bush wasn't Adolf Hitler. President Obama, he's not Adolf Hitler. Bernie Sanders is not Adolf Hitler. And yes, I can come up with a few little clips, a few little comparisons to say, oh, well, Sanders did this, Hitler did this. Coincidence? I don't think so. Trump said this, Hitler did this. Coincidence? Ooh, I don't think so. Everyone likes to pick their candidate, the person that they don't like, and compare them to Hitler. There's a meme that's going around Facebook that I just love. It shows Hitler in his pajamas riding a sled down a rainbow, and it says, everyone that we don't like is Hitler. And I thought that was very interesting. I really, I agree. It's ridiculous. It's time that we get beyond that. Come on. Let's be serious. Trump isn't Hitler, and he hasn't said anything even close to that. People like to talk about his stance on illegal immigrations and his talk about Mexico sending rapists and murderers. Well, he didn't say all Mexicans were rapists and murderers. In fact, I feel he's gone to great lengths to say that's not true. I've actually seen different people of Mexican descent on stage at some of his rallies and things like that, and Trump isn't even the person that I necessarily want as president, but if you're going to criticize somebody, at least use the damn facts. The only case you could say is that he wants to classify Muslims, and I completely disagree with his stance on that in that scenario, but again, it's not. He hasn't come out and said anything similar to what Hitler said, and yes, Hitler did mention everything he wanted to do ahead of time in Mein Kampf, which was a bestseller in the United States, by the way. Trump hasn't said anything near the alarming nature that Hitler has said. So the comparison's old. It's weak. It's somebody who's too lazy to do their own research or to come up with real things to talk about. There's lots of policy issues that Trump has. Well, there's lack of policy issues, for one. He hasn't given many policy stances. That's an issue to complain about. His statement on Muslims, that's an issue to complain about. You can say you disagree with him about building a wall in Mexico or about what he said dealing with illegal immigrants, which, let's be clear, he did specify illegal aliens coming into this country, not legal aliens, and I have seen where he has specifically brought people up who are legal immigrants to this country of Mexican descent and mention them as an example of good immigration. So let's be clear on the facts. One of my favorite Trump-Hitler comparisons is saying that both he and Hitler were fascists. Well, Hitler was actually a socialist, and that's where I was drawing the comparison with Bernie Sanders. It's kind of ridiculous to say that Bernie, a Jewish man who seems to be in it for seems to be running for office for good intentions. Now, who knows, once somebody gets in, anybody who made it that far in Washington has to have some skeletons in their closet as to how they got to where they are and maintained power for so long, but he seems to be the most honest of the bunch, and it's ridiculous to compare Bernie Sanders to Adolf Hitler, a man who put Jews in concentration camps, but it's also ridiculous to compare Trump to Hitler as well, even though Hitler and Bernie were both socialists. They were both Hitler was part of the Socialist Party. They both advocated for a lot of the same social policies in a lot of cases. That does not mean that Bernie Sanders is anything like Hitler. It's a stupid comparison. Just because Trump is good at publicizing what he feels and stirring up some emotions in America that maybe are not our proudest emotions, that doesn't necessarily mean that Trump is Hitler. Obama was not Hitler. Bush was not Hitler. Nobody's Hitler. Let's just stop with the Hitler comparisons. Let's just stop with the comparisons in general, where we get a list on the left, or I guess this is your left, one list here that is everything that Hitler's done, and this list here is everything that Trump's done, and you take individual little slices of the individuals and try to say that they're the same person or that they're very similar. I once saw a list comparing Trump to Ronald Reagan, and it was very similar. They said both of them came from, Reagan was an actor, Trump was a reality TV show host, Reagan was this, Trump was that. It goes through a list of things to compare Donald Trump to Ronald Reagan. Clearly, you cannot compare the two. Very different people, very different approaches. Trump is very in your face. Ronald Reagan was more soft-spoken. He spoke with more elegance, and he had speech writers, versus Trump just says whatever comes off the top of his head. Very different. It's impossible to compare the two of them. Bad comparison. Please, 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 please. I'm begging you. Please, for my own sanity, I'm so tired of debunking everybody's Hitler comparisons. Be original. Come up with something new to say. There are plenty of things to criticize Trump about, just like there are plenty of things to criticize Hillary Clinton or Ted Cruz or Bernie Sanders. There's all sorts of issues, real issues that you can talk about, issues that are germane to this country in today's age. And if you were going to pick one president out there and compare him to Hitler, it would have to be your Saint FDR, because he's the only president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the only president in somewhat modern United States history that has taken an entire race of people and put them in camps because of the way that they look. But no one will say that. No, FDR is the great hero of this country. Again, FDR wasn't Hitler either. What he allowed to happen with the internment camps is a travesty in one of the darkest blights on American history. Let's be clear about that. FDR did some good things. I think a lot of times his heart was in the right spot. But what he allowed to occur with the internment camps is one of the greatest travesties in American history. And even he is not Hitler by any stretch of the imagination. And yes, those internment camps, that was hate run wild, hate and fear of another culture. So let's not rewrite history there. If we're going to compare anyone, let's not compare anyone to Hitler. Let's just get beyond that. Let's be bigger than that. Let's look at real issues. Let's just drop that tired old argument. It's so bland, so inappropriate. So inappropriate. So aggravating, so frustrating. We talked a little bit with Mike earlier about Governor Wolf and his comments, and my question is, where are the teachers' unions? Under Corbett, when Corbett put more state money into education than any governor in previous Commonwealth history, the teacher unions went after him. It was crazy. Now, Governor Wolf can't pass a budget talking about schools permanently closing due to the incompetence of the state legislature. And again, no one is talking about it out of the teachers' unions. They have remained silent. Why? Where are the teachers' unions? Where are their voices? Where are they complaining? If they care so deeply about children, and then you think they would come out and tell the governor and the House Republicans, hey, sit down in a room, make something work. You have to compromise. We need to get money to keep the schools open, to keep education flowing, to keep the pages turning in the textbooks, to teach the curriculum. We need money. We need funds. But the teachers' unions remained silent because the governor is owned by the teachers' unions. And the teachers' unions, let's be honest, teachers care about kids. The teachers' unions could not give a damn about little Johnny. Not like the kids, man! Here on River Talk, the teachers' union they don't care about the kids. There was that one case, I can't think of the school offhand. I believe it was Penn Hills, where it may not have been Penn Hills, but there was a school recently where the faculty was asked, we talked about this story on this program, the faculty was asked to share a restroom with a special needs kid, and the union actually, members filed a grievance with the union, teachers. The union fought it because, heaven forbid, a teacher has to sit his ass or her ass on the same seat as a student. It's a special needs kid. It's not like they're turning the faculty restroom into a public restroom. I think it's nice that the faculty has their own restroom. I don't have a problem with that. But to be honest, use the same restroom. Just go to the kids' restroom, for God's sakes. It's a toilet. Just sit your ass down. Your ass isn't so shiny, perfect, squeaky clean that you can't share a toilet seat with a special needs kid. If you cared about the kid, if you cared about kids in general, teachers' unions, then you would not care about this kid in his seat. You would care about getting the budget done, a compromise, solving this situation so that way the schools stay open, kids continue to be taught, and these school districts don't have to start borrowing money. But you don't care. You don't care if the kids get taught. You don't care if the school has to borrow money. All you care is that you get your free insurance and your pension plan, or your practically free insurance. All you care is that the goodies keep coming in and you keep getting paid. Damn the kids, damn the school districts. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Your weekly weather forecast. Let's see, what do we have here? Heather is away, so I'm going to read you and the weekly weather forecast here. As we said, it's a little bit chilly. Not exactly what I am liking. Not like it was a couple weeks ago. It was nice and warm. We have a 45 as our high for the day, low of 29. Then it starts to get a little bit warmer again. It goes up to 61 on Tuesday, which is my day off, so that's good. 61 Tuesday. It doesn't seem like there's any rain until Thursday. 61 high of Tuesday. 48 is the low. 62 is your high on Wednesday. 49 is the low. 65 is going to be your high on Thursday. And let's see here. 10-day forecast here. 65 is your high on Thursday with a low of 46. And that day it's supposed to have a little bit of a thunderstorm. And then it's going to drop back down. Friday, 49 is your high with a low of 34. A little bit of rain that day as well. And then the sun comes back. That's going to be Saturday, the 26th. Sun will come back with a high of 56 and a low of 36. And then Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 66 and a low of 45. Up next we have Klaymore in studio. Good stuff with Klaymore. They're coming up next. And then we're going to end the show on a serious note and tell you how Facebook has a new feature on Facebook that allows you to determine which of your friends are dumb as a brick. All of that and more up next on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network. And by the way, don't forget, Wednesday, Bold Nights Out here, Wednesday at 7 a.m. Find out what to do on the upcoming weekend, Easter weekend, right here on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, this is Zach Bell, the station manager of WCAL, and I'm here to tell you about an upcoming event being sponsored by WCAL, the River's Edge Radio Network, and Placid Promotions. WCAL is proud to be sponsoring Heavy Metal Monessen 3, a free-to-the-public music and arts festival being held at the Monessen City Park Amphitheater on Saturday, April 23rd. This year's lineup features some of the best heavy music Pittsburgh has to offer, including Revival Recordings artist Cabaret Runaway, as well as Solarburn, Klaymore, Only Flesh, Tartarus, Old Lords, Shadow of Corvus, and more. The festival is set to kick off at 1 p.m. on Saturday, April 23rd. Be sure to follow 919 WCAL and River's Edge Pittsburgh on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up to date with the latest festival information and artistic news. Stay metal.
Right, my current guest performing at Heavy Metal Monessen, April 23rd. We have Klaymore in studio. So we have right now Lee and George. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, what's up? You want to take your mic and bring it up? Then that
Closer
mic,
to the face?
yeah, that mic
Yeah.
sucks for.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's a good mic, but it just like the volume is.
Yeah.
You gotta like really like almost eat it like ah.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah,
This
so
big black bar into my face. I understand.
exactly. So yeah, I'm excited. Heavy Metal Monessen. Are you guys the only band that has performed at all of the Heavy Metal Monessens?
I think that Talion has.
Okay.
I want to say that yes, they were at the first one and they were at the second one. So,
Okay,
yeah,
sweet. Yeah, so we're gonna actually have them on the program as well at some point. Yeah, so exciting. Yeah, that's awesome though. You guys have been around since the beginning. So, talk about the progression of Heavy Metal Monessen from the very first festival to what we're expecting at Heavy Metal Monessen 3, because it really has changed a lot over the few years.
Yeah. This year, Zach said that there's going to be like a main stage and a side stage so that we can have more bands and have things.
Yeah,
go
the side stage is going to be
smoother.
the River's Edge stage. So,
Oh yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. I just when we're looking at the schedule, it just says
Just
main
the
and
stage.
side.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
But okay, no, that's cool. But yeah, I remember you guys were at the second one,
Yes.
right? I believe. Okay. Getting them confused which one was which. But,
I know, yeah. We were at the second one. The second one was really easy because we just had to give a donation. We're like, yeah, we're on the page.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely come a long way. I remember at the first one, it was sort of Zach had an idea and tried to do it, but now it's more like the first one was trying to do something. This one is like he actually has the means to do it and knows enough people to do exactly what he wants to do, not just like trying to get it done.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And a lot of the bands that are playing on this one are the bigger ones that people have heard of, around if you're going to local shows and stuff, there's like Solar Burn and stuff like that on it. So that's really cool.
And I like Solar Burn
evolved.
because they do a lot of instrumental stuff, which is
They only do instrumental stuff.
yeah, which is really a rarity in today's world.
Yeah.
Nobody does that, so I think it's
Right,
kind of
yeah.
cool. Yeah. No, yeah, a lot of good names, a lot of big acts there. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be cool. I think the 2 stages could work. I always worry about multiple stages because I think like people are really lazy. But I think like, you know what I mean? Like they're so lazy. Like last year, Raise Your Voice, they had 3 stages, and like I had to I was emceeing the event at that year, for the Raise Your Voice Festival, and I'm literally like trying to cheerlead people, like, yeah, let's go, come on, because like all these like I know that was an older crowd too, but they're just like I don't want to move.
It can be
I
tough.
got my lawn chair.
It can definitely be tough to try to balance the main stage and the side stages. Like,
Yeah.
Even at big festivals like Mayhem Fest, right? Yeah, they always have the side stages. You have to really make sure there's a good balance between the levels of the bands and trying to get people to go and see every band.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do good this.
I do
good
think
job,
this.
though.
Yeah, I think this one is planned out well because they've got only 2 stages, and there are not going to be any. Well, obviously, in that festival, you can't really have 2 metal bands playing at the same time with the proximity of the 2 stages.
Right.
But there's going to be enough time for people to get from one stage to the next, and I think metal fans are a little bit more passionate, I would say, to a degree. I think they would probably make that trek up and down the hill, whereas at the Raise Your Voice, the old ladies with the lawn chairs are a little unwilling to move. But so I think it's going to be cool. I think it's a neat idea, and I like the fact that it is growing. I think that's especially in Monessen, it's such a weird drive if you're coming from the city, but I think that you're going to get people from the city coming down there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going to it the first time, and we had Google Maps up, and we were just like still driving down a road with like nowhere in sight, and it was like, okay, you're here, and we're like, I don't think so.
I don't think this is it.
I don't know where it decided like that was the pinpoint of like, yes, this is the park, this is where you're supposed to be, but we were just like still on the highway, and it was like, yep, you did it.
Well, I think this year too, and I think Saturday is going to be a better day too. I think that's going to be cool, and I think I liked Raise Your Voice. It was a really cool festival, but the music style from Raise Your Voice to Heavy Metal Monessen are complete polar opposites. So I think that it makes sense for this to be kind of its own thing, to kind of stand on its own 2 feet, and I think it's really it was just so well run last year that I really think that if we can get the word out and get people coming to this event, I think it'll really be something special.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's good. Is it one of the more unique events that you guys have been to?
Yeah, I mean, because I haven't really played that much outside stuff. So even just that, like having a bunch of bands outside and stuff. I mean, obviously when it's like a festival kind of thing, there usually are when there's this many bands. It usually is, but yeah, I mean the only other really outside ones that we played Zombie Fest in October, and that was
where was that at?
It was in Millvale.
Oh,
Was it? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was.
really? Okay,
yeah.
nice, very cool.
But yeah, there was. I think it was like right next to the river. It was
the river park.
I think so. Yeah. It was really close. It was really windy. That's what I remember about it. It was freezing.
Well, I feel like Heavy Metal Monessen, and I talked about this last year on the program a couple times. I think it's kind of weird, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually really cool, but it's weird in the sense that this park looks like the park you would go to. Like this amphitheater looks like the amphitheater you would stumble upon at Boy Scout camp. Like it's like covered, like surrounded by trees. There's flowers in the front. It's just like very
super metal, right?
Yeah, really. It's like very atypical, and I think that kind of like adds to the uniqueness of the festival. It's kind of cool in a way. So, what do you guys have going on? I know you guys have a bunch of new things, and I'm really excited. You have this video game festival, this convention going on in Philadelphia, and that's going to be the 24th through the 26th. How did you guys get involved with that?
Well, I've been going to Too Many Games for 3 years now, and they always have bands playing, and I've always been really impressed with the bands that they got to play. And we do a lot of video game stuff, and I figured, I've seen how well the festival or the convention is run, and I thought we should be a part of it. So we reached out to them, and they seem excited to have us.
That's awesome. So yeah, you guys are going there, then you're going to Canada, you said, as well?
Yeah, we're going to Canada in May. The convention is in June.
Yes, the convention's June 24th through the 26th. We looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually an interesting thing about that. They had like last year's dates on there.
Yeah, there was some confusion amongst us about it. But in May, on May 14th, we are going to be playing in Toronto again. Because we played there last summer, and it worked out how everyone says that like things are supposed to work out. They're like, yeah, you just like you go somewhere and you impress the people, and then like they want to have you back, and they'll like bring you back, and that's actually what happened. And I was like, that's
where do you play up there? Is it just like at a
same kind of stuff in Pittsburgh? I mean,
it's just like a regular establishment or
downtown,
something.
You know what I mean?
Why Toronto? Why go there? Like, what was the drive?
It's international.
Yeah. No
okay,
one else
so you could
does
say
that. Like, I can't think of. I mean, I'm sure I could easily be corrected on this, but I can't think of too many other bands from around here, like in the local level that like not signed to any kind of label, like don't work through other people and stuff that are like, oh yeah, we played out of state in Toronto and Canada and stuff like that. I mean, other bands like go touring around the tri-state area, stuff like that, go on things like that, but I haven't really seen too many people being like, oh yeah, we went to Canada. So that was kind of the push for it, is because no one that we knew had really done it.
Yeah.
So, also, don't ask our drummer Bob about it, but he loves Timmy Hortons. So like,
really? Okay,
right? You gotta get
that's the coffee place, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Again,
Very
don't look into it. But
don't look into it. Yes. Yeah.
He loves it.
I see. I gotta try this out. I've heard so many good things about it. I wonder how it compares. I'm a La Prima guy here in Pittsburgh. I'm always going to La Prima.
Okay.
But good stuff down there. But the Toronto thing's cool. Is there a big metal fan base up there, or?
I mean, we got up there just because we contacted other metal bands.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously I don't know too much about it, but because, I've been there once, know a couple bands there now after having met them and stuff like that. But I mean, it was a show that had, I think, like 5 bands on it, including us. So, I mean, it's not like there's just 2 other ones that could put something together for us. It was a decent chunk of people, but, yeah.
That's sweet. Yeah. Lee and George of Klaymore here on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network. Tell us a little bit about the band, about Klaymore, and how you guys came to be, for those who maybe are meeting you for the first time. I'm hoping they're hearing your music, because we got it on the station every day.
Well, we Klaymore has been going at this for the last couple years, probably since about 2013. I mean, like, we put out an album in 2012, but like we didn't have a full like band lineup. We didn't play shows or anything. But yeah, then 2013 was when we really started playing shows around Pittsburgh and stuff like that, and started to get a little more notice, started to get on radio stations like this and stuff, get our music out to other people, get played on the X and things like that. But George has only been playing with us for the last 6-ish months. So he's still relatively new. Played a handful of shows with us. We've been recording things and he's been on them, and definitely a part of things. But,
Yeah.
For anyone that's known us for the last 2 years, he's still a new aspect of things. But
Well, George, is that easy to join? Was it easy to join in with Klaymore, or is that difficult to kind of get into an established
Yeah. Well,
band?
this is the first band I've ever done anything serious with.
Okay.
I didn't even really play bass before I started here. I played drums and I played guitar, and that's kind of a melding of the two. So I figured I could probably handle it, and I like to think I'm handling it.
Yeah. He is.
But actually, Lee contacted me. I was in Colombia last year visiting my then girlfriend, which is that's a whole thing. But
story? Yes.
he messaged me and was like, "Hey man, how would you like to be in a metal band?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What do you mean?" He's like, "One who's been to Canada." And I said, "Oh, like I didn't know that Geddy Lee was leaving Rush. Like that sounds great.
Yeah,
I'd love to be in Rush." He said, "No, not Rush. Close." And so I said, "Yeah, I'll try it out."
So it's like the big selling point. Hey, we've been to Canada. That's awesome. That's kind of like I get my name tacked on all these music festivals, and I'm like, hey, we've been here.
Right. That's
gotta
notoriety.
Gotta play on the station. So
yeah, it's definitely different for me. I like to think that I've integrated pretty well.
Now, Lee, what did he bring new to the band? Does it change the writing process or the performance process when you add a new person into the group?
I mean, yes and no. Like, we still, try to be doing the same thing that we were doing. Like, we tried not to derail or anything. And
sure.
So, George has been fitting in pretty seamlessly, like, with the stuff that we want to be doing. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely been interesting, like, recording new stuff, or we've been, like, putting new songs into our set list and things like that, stuff that we haven't played before, or we just, thought would be interesting to do. And now that, it's someone that hasn't been playing, like, a dozen of our songs or whatever for the last year and a half, so it, like, we can throw new stuff into it, and it doesn't, like, really matter, because it's like, well, he doesn't know the old songs that we used to play, so, like, we can sit down for 10 minutes and relearn these songs that we haven't touched in a while. So yeah, it's been interesting staying on track and then figuring out the new things that we can be doing.
Yeah, no, that's exciting, and you guys do a great job. I've been fortunate to see you guys play live. How many times I've seen you guys, like, multiple times now. I'm trying to think. Yeah. I know every time at Heavy Metal Monessen, but I've seen you outside of there as well too. I get, like, it's the one nice thing is I get to get all these shows, and it's kind of what I do. Like this past weekend, I was at 3 concerts in a matter of 2 days. So you just kind of jump around and
that's it.
make things work. So yeah, no, I'm excited. No, you guys do a great job, and appreciate everything you do, and love having you guys on the network.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, absolutely. It's Lee and George of Klaymore. You can hear them at Heavy Metal Monessen 3 at the Monessen City Park Amphitheater. I'm Brian Crawford on the River's Edge Radio Network. And stay tuned. We're going to play their song Queen of Nightmares, and then after that we're going to bring back the show and end it on a serious note with a new, or not a really new Facebook feature, but a Facebook feature that will allow you to determine which of your friends are dumb. That's coming up next here on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Zaheen Hussein, Millvale Sustainability Coordinator, inviting you to grow your garden at Millvale May Days. Visit our town, catch the great deals at local businesses, win prizes, and collect all kinds of seed to grow your garden for free. Mark your calendar for May 6th and 7th here in Millvale. Follow the Business Association of Millvale on Facebook and Twitter at BAM15209 for more details.
Good stuff from Klaymore here at the River's Edge Radio Network here on River Talk. We're going to end the show on a serious note here, and this is a feature on Facebook that allows you to determine which of your friends are lacking a little bit upstairs, which of your friends have the dimmest attics in their body. And this has to do with the translation feature. And I'm not knocking people who are foreign or people who speak a different language. I'm referring to the very people who are so inept at putting together a sentence on Facebook. People who are so incompetent when it comes to the English language that Facebook is so confused that they think that these people are speaking in a different language. Have you ever seen that? Someone's attempt at writing English, somebody whose attempt at forming a sentence structure is met with such confusion that Facebook has a little link on the side that says, see translation? Because this person's such a dumbass, you can't even read what they're saying. It drives me nuts. Why do people type incorrectly? I understand when somebody is using a sense of vernacular that is indigenous to their region, like someone who says yins, or somebody who says down there, or in at, or do the warsh, or whatever. I understand that. I understand when somebody says y'all, but I don't understand when somebody types incorrectly, when somebody types in such a way that it becomes illegible. There are people who type things on Facebook, they post statuses, and I don't even know how to read it. I can't read it. I can't comprehend. I actually have to sit there and study someone's status if I were to want to read it. I mean, usually I just ignore it, because if you're not intelligent enough to form a sentence on Facebook, if you can't write something down that I'm able to read, then it's probably not something that's worth reading anyways. But it just bothers me. I don't understand why there's this destruction of language in our society, why we want to write in a way that is so Neanderthal. I just don't understand it. If you're writing, to me, the point of writing is to put out a message that other people can understand. If nobody can read what you are writing, you have defeated the purpose of what you were writing in the first place. So, I don't know. I read these things. I don't know if I should be mad, if I should be happy, because I can't understand it. I guess I just want to cry, because just the destruction of language is just really distressing for me. I don't know. I'm somebody who takes pride in my ability to write when I do write, or speak in a way that people can understand, that they can hear me, that I enunciate properly. And then I just see this word salad on Facebook, and it's just really sad. I don't know. I just don't understand the thought process in that. I guess it's an attempt to be hip, or an attempt to use slang, but you're writing. And what's even worse is now with all of the pictures, we're going back to hieroglyphics, basically. People are using pictures instead of words. Somebody says one sentence and then they have a gazillion little icons after it. And I know I sound like an old man right now, but it's just how I feel, damn it. I can't help it. Don't have a producer in studio, so I'm kind of doing double work here. But that's all we have today. That's our serious note. Thank you so much to Klaymore. Thank you so much to Matt Light. Definitely check out Matt at his upcoming events, the Comedians Against Cancer and his final curtain call. We'll post those links on Facebook. You can follow us, facebook.com/RiversEdgePGH. Follow us on Twitter, by the way, at RiversEdgePGH. You can follow me at RiverTalkPGH. And don't forget, the day after Easter, we are going to have Talion here in studio. We're going to drop that video for you right the day after Easter. It's my gift to you for a great holiday. So stay tuned for that and more. I'm out. Don't forget, riversedgepgh.com, 24 hours a day for the best in local Pittsburgh music.